Hey guys, so if you're watching this, then this means that you purchased the how to recreate my wispy set for the Charlotte York Classic. So right now what I'm doing is I'm filling in the practice set with the longest spike that I'm going to use, and this is a 18 mm in a C curl. You can use whatever curl you like depending on what you and the client have discussed prior, but this is how I start my sets. So I'll start off doing it out like what I like to call an outline. So if you've mapped, then you would, map your spikes and your other lengths and things like that. So this is just how I start. I start with the longest spike first, and then I'll move on to the next spike. So right now, what you see me doing is removing the extensions that aren't placed properly and replacing them. So this is something that I do when I'm working on clients. So if I feel like an extension hasn't been placed properly or it may pop off prematurely, I'll go ahead and replace it so that it's placed properly. So right now I'm just finishing up adding in the longer spikes, and then after that I'm going to move on to the second longest length in spikes. So now what you see me doing is putting what I like to call a placeholder, which will show me where the wisp should stop and where the length of the predominant set should start. So now I'm going to go in with the second spike, and this is going to create the second basic, like a stair, to begin creating the wispy effect. And I'll show you what that's going to look like. And just for practice sake, I'm going to use a 16 mm. So this is what the set will start to look like now. This is what I'm using just to show you how I get my sets to look wispy like how they do. And just like in the diagram, you want to place the lash as close together as you can. So if you have an 18 spike, you don't want to skip a lash. You want to lash the 16 directly next to it so that you can see the difference in lengths. When the client opens their eyes, that's what'll make it look a little bit more wispy. So right now I'm just completing the outline, so you're going to see me adding a third spike so that it can look like what the diagram is on the right side of the screen. This third spike would be a 14 that I'm using right now, so I'm going to fill that in and then just go back and eye everything out. So of course the inner corners on the practice set and the inner corners on a client are very different, but I just wanted to point out that it's very important. On the inner corners, I'll use the shortest length, but I'll go in mostly with the predominant length. So I'll make sure that the shortest length is on the inner corner, and then next to that will be the predominant length, and the longest length that I'll go is more or less the third spike. So now that I have the outline together, which is basically the picture that I'm showing you, so this is what the outline of what my wisp looks like, what gives it the wispy effect. After I have that outline throughout the lash set, I go in and I fill it in with the predominant length. And when I say predominant length, I mean like the length of the set. So if you and your client have discussed that, you want to use 14 mm or you want to use 12 mm, once I have the outline down packed, then I'll fill it in with that mm. So right now what you're seeing me do is just fill in the set with the predominant length and add some different lengths if I feel like I need to add them in certain spots where I feel like I want it to look a little bit more wispy. So we finally reached the end, so I'm just checking through to make sure that everything is properly placed and nothing is stuck together. And this is what your set should look like once you follow the instructions. Happy lashing! Thanks for buying! See you guys later. Oh, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at luxuryminx.com. At luxuryminx, at luxury.minx is where you can follow me on Instagram. Later.